Good evening and welcome to Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Casey Porter here. Unlike Friday where we had all four of us, Coach Holt, Mike, and then also Austin together, going to be by myself tonight. So, hey, super excited for open mic night. There's so much to talk about. We already have a great lobby here on Dodgers Dogs, again, as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Hey, guys, if you have not done so far, I'm going to put the link in right here, right off the bat, to our new Discord server. This is a server right here to where you can come ask questions. You can talk directly. I get the notification straight to my phone. We can have live video chats. We can have all sorts of different text channels, voice channels, you name it. So I'm super excited about this new Discord server. Matter of fact, whenever I'm going to do that right now, I'm going to pin that message to the top. So, hey, go ahead and click that link. Check out the new Dodgers Daily Discord server, and we can talk. Once you go see it, you'll see just how interactive it is. I know Mike right now is in that chat on the Discord side of things, in that chat room. So make sure and check that out. Yeah, I see we have an open mic right now. So good evening to everybody. Again, we have a wonderful lobby. DS, good evening back to yourself. Showtime LA, good evening, everyone. It's time for great Dodgers baseball as always. DS, let's dive right into the comments. Again, this is open mic night. I am going to go as long as we have great Dodgers questions to talk about on a Sunday night in the big town on Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. And before we jump into the comments, which is going to be right now, just a reminder, hit that like button, leave a comment, tell all your friends about Dodgers Daily. And if you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. Please help spread the word about Dodgers Daily. This is your show, Dodgers Dogs, every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 o'clock Pacific. So the first question from DS, will Paxton's intended role after his contract was reworked due to injury concerns mean he'll play more out of the pen, lefty relief, and provide more opportunity for the young guns in starting roles? I would say no. I think the Dodgers, I've said this a couple of times, I do think that the Dodgers got Paxton to be a left-handed starter for the 162 marathon. And then also, as they get him in the system, they work that high-riding four-seam. They work the pitch mix the way that they want it to maximize what James Paxton can become. Then whenever your roster reduces in terms of the amount of starting pitchers you need, that's when I think you'll move into a relief role. So I think, at least to start out with, I think the plans are to make him a starter throughout the season. I've said this a couple of times. When you look at Nick Frasso, who got tough news, I mentioned last Sunday that he had shoulder surgery, and I couldn't go any further. The information I had, I couldn't go any further at that time. When I get this information from these people, it's information that I promised them that I would keep it off the record. So I couldn't go any further with it. The news did break. I was told just basically to wait till it came out from the organization, of which it did, that he's going to be out for parts of the season. What the information I had was that he had labrum surgery and that it was minor and that he will be back this year. That was the information I had last week. So discuss that a little bit. That is a very tough break for Nick Frasso, no doubt about it. A very talented right-handed pitcher. But when you look at Landon Knack, Gavin Stone, Michael Grove, and Kyle Hurt, and all these guys, the insurance plan is when you get a Glass now who has been injury prone in the past, although I'm not sold that he will be injury prone this year. I think he's as healthy as he ever has been. Yamamoto, who is used to a six-man starting rotation and is going to have to get adjusted to the major leagues. And then also Walker Buehler, who it was just announced, which that wasn't really much of an announcement. We've been telling you on Dodgers Daily for a long time now that Walker Buehler is going to be delayed, and it's not anything to be worried about. It's just that the fact that the Dodgers have put a number of innings that they would feel comfortable with Walker Buehler going into the playoffs with, to be healthy enough to provide what they need out of him in the playoffs. And so let's say if that amount of innings is 90 innings. So if you reach that 90-inning pitch limit, what they do in the minor leagues, they just shut you down. They did that to Gavin Stone a couple of years ago. But you can't do that in the major leagues because you don't want to give a guy a month off right before the playoffs, right? So instead of having that awkward gap at the end, you time the amount of innings. You on paper, you put the amount of innings that you expect and you think you can get out of Walker Buehler for this year, and then you wait to the part of the season to where he can be full go as soon as he starts and go right in from the regular season to the playoffs. So that was totally accepted or expected. We knew that actually was coming. I mean, I think everybody pretty much knew that was coming. So when you look at Walker Buehler, he's delayed. Glass now has had an injured. He's had a past that's had injuries. Yamamoto is used to having a six-man rotation, so he's going to need an adjustment period. Then you have Bobby Miller, and you have whoever it may be in that fifth spot with Emmett Sheehan and Gavin Stone. So the insurance plan and the path for these rookies was to fill in if Tyler Glasnow needs a day off, or if he comes up on the injured list for 15 days or whatever. Then you taxi a Gavin Stone up to the big club, or you put a Ryan Yarbrough or a Michael Grove in a spot start scenario. That was the plan for these young guys. Cross Nick Frasso off that list at least for a while, and I would have to think that probably crosses him off the list for good for the Major League season this year, and not because the Dodgers don't love the guy, but by the time he gets back, if you have a tight race, which the D-backs are going to be good, the Dodgers aren't going to want to insert Nick Frasso into his first Major League experience in a tight race at the end of July or whenever he gets back. So this is probably the end of any idea of a Major League debut for Nick Frasso, unless the Dodgers can do like they did last year, get a comfortable lead where the Dodgers can feel like they have a little bit of margin for error. But you never know. So cross him off the list. So you have Kyle Hurt, Gavin Stone, Michael Grove, and you have all these guys that can fill in if you need, and that has been the plan the entire time. So I think, and then also James Paxton, who has a health issue. So you put him at a starting spot, knowing that you have the rookies right behind him if you need. As we've mentioned several different times on Dodgers Dogs, the Clayton Kershaw issue was always going to be addressed after pitchers and catchers report, and it was going to always be after the Dodgers put whoever it is on the 60-day IL, which now it's going to be Nick Frasso, Tony Gonsolin, and Dustin May. We've been telling you about Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin forever, and that's how the Dodgers were going to create a spot for Clayton Kershaw. So then at that point, Clayton Kershaw, if you sign him, then he goes on the 60-day IL as well. So now you could theoretically have 4 positions on the 60-day IL as well. And so a question here is Dodgers will get 3 spots on the 40-man. Frasso, May, Gonsolin, assuming they add a minor league guy. Who do you think that is? I think the first guy they would add would be Alec Gamboa. Let me get up some film on Alec Gamboa. That's the guy that I think makes the most sense to me. And I'm going to give me just a second here. I'm by myself, so there's some awkward moments here. Just know that it's because I'm trying to get up film on these guys and get that going, so you don't have to see my ugly mug all night. We can actually watch something that is productive, which would be these guys actually in action. So let me get over here and let me get to Alec Gamboa. There he is right there. This is the guy that either him or John Rooney are one of the 2 guys, left-handed relievers out of the pen. Dodgers haven't went and got that Tanner Scott type of guy yet. They do have Caleb Ferguson. They do have Ryan Yarbrough. They do have Alex Vesia. But I think just because you put a guy on the 40-man like Alec Gamboa, that does not mean that he's automatically going to break with the Major League club. That just simply means that if you want to bring him up and down, you can at that point. So I think Alec Gamboa, I think he will be one of the very first guys that gets put on the 40-man with the 3 spots. The other guy that I think that probably is one of the top candidates to do that is this guy right here, and that would be Mr. John Rooney. Big, tall lefty. Remember, both Alec Gamboa and John Rooney, both were starters coming into 2022, so they both have starters mixed. There's that little cutter/sweeper that John Rooney added last year. And then I also think another guy that could get added to it would be River Ryan as well. We'll look at video River Ryan here in a minute, but you're looking at John Rooney. I think John Rooney and Alec Gamboa would be your first two guys that would be the most likely to get sent up, or not sent up, but put on the 40-man roster. Some other names that you could look at, maybe a Daniel Hudson. He might be a guy as well if he pitches well in the let's get video up on Daniel Hudson. Let's just go ahead and look at him. I think Daniel Hudson, if he pitches well and the Dodgers give him a full bid of health, I think definitely Daniel Hudson. No, that's Brian Hudson right there. The Dodgers actually traded him away. Let me get you Daniel Hudson up on the board. Again, this is Brian Hudson. Don't look at that right there. There's Daniel Hudson. I think Daniel Hudson probably would be one of the top candidates as well if he pitches well in the spring training. So those are the three guys, plus River Ryan. So when you look at Daniel Hudson, Alec Gamboa, John Rooney, and also River Ryan, I think they would be the most likely candidates. Andy Pages is not available. He's already on the 40-man anyway. So those would be the guys that another guy that you could also make a case for, I think, is Drew Avans. Drew Avans could be, this is going to be his fourth year in AAA. I certainly hope the Dodgers would consider putting him on the 40-man. So if they wanted to, they could bring him up and have him make his major league debut as well. So let's recap those names. Alec Gamboa, John Rooney, Daniel Hudson, River Ryan, Drew Avans. I think those are your candidates to fill those three spots on the 40-man. Showtime LA, thank you so much for joining tonight. Hey, Mike, thank you so much for moderating. Mike says this is an important announcement. And again, you're looking at Daniel Hudson here. I'm going to get video up on River Ryan here in a moment. Good evening. If you're new to the live, I have a Discord channel. Hope to see you all there. And then there's the end of Daniel Hudson there. I'm going to replay that let me get River Ryan up, and then we will look at River Ryan and get a look at him. Again, I'm by myself, so I apologize for some of the awkward moments here as I get new video up. But this is Daniel Hudson, and we're talking about guys that might get on the 40-man roster. Here is River Ryan right here. Okay, showtime. Casey, how much improvement do you expect Diego Cartaya to make in his second season in Tulsa? Also, how much will the batting average improve, and is Oklahoma City a possibility? I think it would be a disappointment if Diego Cartaya did not finish his 2023 season in Oklahoma City. Hunter Fiducia is on the 40-man. So Hunter Fiducia is going, and also, by the way, just look at the game logs. Hunter Fiducia only caught like once or twice on Sundays. They used David Freitas, but then also Patrick Mazeika quite a bit. So the Dodgers believe in not necessarily catching the same catcher every day. It would be disappointing if Diego Cartaya does not end up in AAA. Let me also say this about Diego. I know people get stuck on offense. His defense, though, improved tremendously, and I think it's just an adjustment or two. And also, I say it all the time as you're seeing River Ryan on the screen here, just go look at Will Smith's results in the minor leagues. If you were to look at Will Smith's results and other catchers along the way, catching in the minor leagues, especially the AA level, there's Tim Campbell, the photographer. Let me back that up. He does such a great job. See the guy in the red right here? That is Tim Campbell. That is the team photographer for the Tulsa Drillers. Whenever you see nice pictures that I get of all these players, he is the one who sends them to me. So I wanted to pick him out and show you him there. Let me get you another vid. This is River Ryan's AAA debut right here. So I think Diego Cartaya repeating AA at least to begin. He knows where his holes are at. I've covered those extensively. I saw a video of him the other day, and the video I saw him the other day was specifically working on all of those holes. And so I expect Diego Cartaya to make a couple of adjustments and have a better season next year, hit for some home runs, hit in the 245, 250 range, have an OPS in the 820, 825 range, and hit 20 to 25 home runs. And I think Dodgers fans would be very, very happy about that. And he's just an adjustment or two away from that. So, hey, Kevin Hurt is in the house tonight. Hey, how you doing tonight, Kevin? We have talked about all of the roles for the young guys, and I have said many, many, many different times that I don't care if Kyle is in the starting rotation. I don't care if he's towards the back of the rotation in high leverage innings. Just make him a major leaguer. Put him in a major league role. somewhere and let him let's get Kyle Hurt video up here and look at him. And make it not just the middle part of the games, too. Make it in innings that actually matter, because when Kyle Hurt is in the strike zone, when he is doing what he is supposed to do, he gets swing and miss from everybody, not just minor league hitters, major league hitters as well. We saw him go right through some of the best major league hitters in the game. So Kyle Hurt, my personal opinion, look at that changeup. That is just absolutely dirty. Matter of fact, that I sometimes whenever they're dirty like that, I can't tell the difference between a changeup and a slider. I used to do that all the time at Clayton Beater, and Clayton would message back because I'd put a tweet out and he'd go, "Hey dude, I don't have a changeup." He goes, "That's my slider," and I'll be, "Oh my God, that's a pretty nasty pitch." So Jay asked, which left-handed reliever would be up first, Rooney or Gamboa? That is a good question, Jay, and you know me. Let's get back to some Alec Gamboa. I didn't play him near long enough, and I've got some video on him. Okay, here is Alec Gamboa again. That is a great question, Jay, and you know I don't like ducking questions. I couldn't give you the answer to that. I don't want to give my opinion because I don't have an opinion on that. I love Alec Gamboa, man. This dude is – I just can't wait for the day that somebody tries to charge the mound on this dude, because if they do, they're getting their ass whooped. Point blank, period, end of discussion. Alec Gamboa is putting an ass whooping on whoever charges that mound, because he is one of the toughest dudes that you will ever meet. So I kind of hope to see it someday, because it would be funny, because Gamboa would throw down and go to straight whooping ass in that situation. So he is just one of the toughest human beings. And the thing about him is, man, even going back to his college days, I mean, he had to earn everything he's gotten. He's had adversity at every single step. He's gotten his ass knocked down. I can't tell you how many times. And guess what with Alec Gamboa? Every single time, that dude gets right back up, and he's better than he was to begin with. I can't tell you the amount of respect I have for Alec Gamboa. And by the way, he is very talented. So Alec Gamboa, just from a personal perspective, I root for the personal side of him, because I have so much respect for his grind. And then also John Rooney, the people that are in the lobby right now that know John, that know Alec, I promise you they will second and third what I'm saying. John Rooney is maybe the hardest worker I have ever seen in my life. This dude is made simply out of Energizer batteries. And I tell you what, he's gone through a lot of different iterations that the organization has put him through. You're looking at Alec Gamboa here. I want to give you a little bit better look at him. Let me get you another video up on Alec as well. John Rooney, as a starter, both Alec and John were starters to start 2022. As a starter, he was your typical north-south type pitcher. High-riding four-seam, tumbling change-ups, and then a slider that had good depth to it, right? Okay, so they both become starters. John Rooney, they add the cutter. They throw a two-seam. Now the cutter and two-seam give you the right and left turns for strikes. And then towards the end of last year, they added back in the changeup. Let me get back to John Rooney. They added the changeup back in for John Rooney. So now you're talking about a big lefty, a big tall lefty with good extension with John Rooney, with a guy that has a starter's mix. So he has the north-south high-riding four-seam still, the tumbling changeup, because they added that back. Now he also has the cutter and the two-seam. So you're talking about a guy with a four-pitch mix that can come out of the pen looking like that as a left-hander. So, hey, take your pick between the two. I don't mean to be ducking your question between which two. Hey, Austin, good evening to yourself. I just don't think I could give you an answer, honestly, which one they would choose first. I would say both. I mean, I think if you have three spots, both of them make it onto that 40-man, and I couldn't tell you who they're gonna bring up first. Hey, Angelo, good evening, Angelo. Thank you so much for joining Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network as we watch John Rooney pitch on the bump here. One of the guys, the reason why we're playing him and Alec Gamboa, they are one of the guys that as the three spots that are going to be open after pitchers and catchers report, they are the likeliest candidates to take one of those spots. I want to make sure that you have good looks at them. Hey, Ela Shiva, thank you so much for joining tonight. Ela Shiva says, let's go Dodgers. Mr. Seabad, good evening tonight. Thank you so much for joining Dodgers Daily as part of the Dodgers Daily, Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Let your dogs be your co-host. Yeah, no doubt about that. We have Dodgers dogs. Coach Holt has Dodgers dogs. I have 2 Dodgers dogs. They're sitting right over here, right next to me, about 10 feet away from me. So, yeah, we love our Dodgers dogs. Okay, Ela Shiva, what's going on with Frasso? Yes, Nick Frasso. Let's get some video up on him. Nick Frasso, he went through a shoulder surgery in November, of which I mentioned on last week's show before all of this came out that he did have shoulder surgery. I was not at liberty to go any further than that. The information I had was all off the record type stuff. So I just couldn't come out with anything else that I had. And so, yes, he is going to be out. It was a minor tear to his labrum. He is going to be out for a certain extended period of time. It is too bad because he had the Tommy John surgery when he was with the Blue Jays, and that held him back. And then also 2020, so he missed almost 2 years between about 2.5 years actually, between missing 2020 and then the Tommy John. Around that took a year or so. So he missed about 2 years to that. Now he has the labrum tear. So for a guy with north of 7-foot extension with a fastball that has reached 100 miles an hour in the past, that is a tough break. I hate it for Nick. I hate it. It's just absolutely terrible. But when you have guys, I'll say this from an organizational perspective, this came in a position of depth, no doubt about it. We've already looked at Kyle Hurt. Let's look at Landon Knack right here. Okay, so right now you have Landon Knack, maybe one of the most skilled young pitchers in the game in the sense that he has 4 pitches that he can throw for a strike. So as terrible as this is for Nick Frasso, for him, you still have other guys. Of course, you already have your 5-man rotation set. You have Emmett Sheehan, you have Michael Grove, you have Gavin Stone, you have Landon Knack, and so you still have and Kyle Hurt, obviously, which again I'm putting Kyle Hurt either in the starting role or in a late inning role. That's also why I am much bigger on going and getting a left-hander that can get out lefties late in games, because I already think you have guys in-house that can get your last 3 outs. A guy like Kyle Hurt definitely could get the last 3 outs. A guy like Evan Phillips, we've actually seen that on the major league level, get the 3 outs. I think Joe Kelly can do it. And so I think it is way more important at this point that the Dodgers if they feel like they still need to make one more move, go get a guy that could dominate left-handers. That's my opinion on that issue. So this is Landon Knack right here. You're taking a good look at him. I'm going to say this again. I said it about Nick Frasso. I've said it all offseason. This is why, to actually know what's going on, this is why, again, top 30 prospects list are fun, not always accurate because they don't provide context. There are a bunch of guys that look at statistics. They look at Baseball Savant. They might talk to this guy. Okay, if you look at Landon Knack's Baseball Savant velo numbers and Nick Frasso's, you're going, hey, what's going on with these guys? Well, they're this and that and this and that with no context to it. The guys were fighting through injury, okay? I tried to explain that about Nick Frasso. I've tried to explain that about Landon Knack. There is nothing to be concerned about. Landon Knack, I've told you from the beginning of the offseason, is 100% healthy. He is in as good a shape as he ever has been in his life. The velo will bump back up, and I've also told you I've sat at AA games and seen the StatCast data, and I've seen him hit 96. Look at that changeup right there. When Landon Knack's landing that changeup, it is going to be a tough night for the hitters. So super excited about Landon Knack. We've talked about Kyle Hurt, Nick Frasso, River Ryan. Okay, Doom says, make sure and watch our web pages. We post articles and videos on prospects. Matter of fact, I released on Friday my top 5 prospects to watch in spring training. That was the first episode of many more to come. I'm going to be releasing a new episode either every day or every other day about 5 more new prospects to watch in spring training. Shiba, I saw an interview with Yarbrough today. Sounds like his role is undefined. No doubt about that. Ryan Yarbrough will not, he is going to be the definition of a swingman. I think him and both Michael Grove are the guys. Here is Ryan Yarbrough right here. Ryan Yarbrough and Michael Grove. Ryan Yarbrough from the left side, Michael Grove from the right side. I think they are both guys that not only are their roles not defined at this moment, I don't think their roles are ever going to be totally defined, because I think whenever you look at what they can do, and here, let's get a look at Michael Grove as well. Here's Michael Grove. When you look at what they can do, they can be spot starters. They could be your middle inning, get 2 or 3 innings through the middle innings, and or they could be matchup guys to come in and they have a specific pitch or a sequence that they can get a specific hitter out with. So I think Michael Grove and Yarbrough both. I don't think either one of them are going to have their roles defined. I think Kyle Hurt could be a little bit of both of that. I think Kyle Hurt could flip back and forth between being a fifth starter based on who is healthy at that time versus a guy that could also get high leverage innings late in games. Like I said, I just hope that whenever they use Kyle Hurt, it's in situations that are the most important in games, because his stuff is just absolutely some of the most elite stuff of any young pitcher in the game. Again, and you're looking at Michael Grove right here. So that is a great point and a great question asked there, Edith Shiva, about Ryan Yarbrough. Role not defined right now. There's that big curveball, that knuckle curve that Michael Grove throws. See that knuckle curve? Let me show you that again. Watch his grip. See that grip? Well, let me back it up and stop it right there. He's got that knuckle curve grip, and he throws that big curveball right there, and that is a good pitch for him. The difference for him, he came to the Dodgers basically with a really explosive fastball, and then he had that slider right there, and then beyond that slider, then he also, see that big curve, like big knuckle curve, then he also, then he was good with righties, and he's always throwing strikes. Then he was struggling with lefties. There's Jacob at I love Jacob. Then he was struggling with lefties, so then they added the cutter. So now he still has the big knuckle curve. He still has the big fastball that is very, very live. Now he also has the cutter for another strike pitch and that slider right there. So Michael Grove's pitch mix is as good as it ever has been. And by the way, once they moved into the pen to where he wasn't getting exposed, say, more than one time, I know there was a couple times to where if he just would have just thrown the first 3 innings of the game, he would have went scoreless. But by trying to extend into the 5th or 6th and get through that lineup, say the 3rd time, that's where they got to him. So if you put Michael Grove in a situation to where he's only facing hitters one time, or just a part of the order that matches up well for him, he showed at the end of last year that he is very effective. Again, and I asked him, what was the highest velo you threw this year? He said 98, which is pretty live. And then whenever you put a guy in the pen, that's another thing about Kyle Hurt in the pen. You take all that strikeout stuff and you put it in short bursts, and it just amplifies it that much more. So I really like Michael Grove, and I kind of like Ryan Yarbrough, as Ela Shiva was saying. Not sure that they're going to have a role defined for them all year. They're just going to have to deal with where the way that they put that is, hey, wherever your feet are at that day, that's what you have to deal with. This is Michael Grove right here, again, that we're looking at. Hey, Jay says, if there is a DL stint for one of the outfielders on the 26th, do we see Drew Avans? My gosh, I hope so. I'm going to tell you, man. I'm going to tell you. I love James Albin, and he is – I'm just going to tell you right now, man, and I made the statement that James Outman is my favorite player in the organization just because I've been watching him for forever, and as far as position player goes. Let me back up and say, hey, man, there is nobody in the organization, nobody that I have more respect for than this guy right here, Drew Avans. You talk about a guy that has defeated the odds, and he's still trying to defeat the odds. A guy that has been looked over and passed over and done nothing but do what he is supposed to do every day. As a matter of fact, coming out of high school, he went to Southeastern Louisiana, okay, which is a good baseball school, but it's not like LSU. It's not like he went to the University of Alabama, okay. And then in 2022, going to say this again, Drew Avans had a 53-game on-base streak which is the longest on-base streak in the Pacific Coast League in the last 4 years. That, you say, well, okay, the Pacific Coast League is a very offensive league. That's fine. That's the longest hit streak in the last 4 years in the PCL. He also stole 40 bases on back-to-back games to extend that 53-game hit streak. Drew Avans bunted his way on base. I've seen him tag up from first base and take second base on a sacrifice fly. Now, last year, after that great year in 2022 where he hit close to 200, 53-game on-base streak, 40 stolen bases, he got absolutely nothing out of it. He didn't get picked up in the Rule 5. He didn't get put on the Dodgers 40-man roster, and he got absolutely nothing out of that just ridiculous 2022 when he was an organizational all-star. So in my opinion, this is just strictly my opinion, coming into last year, Drew Avans felt like he needed to add power to his game to kind of add that final link. Hey, what is it going to – I can't do any better than I did last year, and I'm still not on the 40-man roster. I'm still not picked up by anybody else on the Rule 5. So what is it that I have to do? By the way, he is way safe right there. What is it that I have to do? Well, I'll try to hit some home runs. So if you look at what he did last year in his first 2 years or his first 2 months of last season, trying to do that right there, get the ball in the air more, he looked up and he was hitting about 210, okay? And so at that point, come about June or July, in my opinion, Drew was like, you know what, screw it. I'm not playing Drew Avans baseball. I'm just going to go back to being Drew Avans and being that guy that hits the baseball like that the other way, puts the ball in play, uses my speed, gets base hits. And from that point on, he hit like 270, 275 every single month and got back on base. Now, I will say this, okay, here Drew is a tweener offensively. He doesn't hit that many home runs. I think in 2022, as good of a year as it was, I think he hit like 8 home runs. So he doesn't hit a lot of home runs, but yet his strikeout rate is still over 20%. So that's been the hang-up right there. That's the tweener hang-up. I think if you take the exact same profile that Drew Avans has had and you lower his strikeout rate to 8 or 9%, with everything he's done, at that point I think you would have already been a major leaguer. Love that eephus pitch. But whenever you don't hit home runs and you're striking out over a 20% clip, I can understand where the organization thinks he is a tweener. Having said that, I think if you put him in a major league lineup and you say, hey, Drew, however you have to do it, I don't care what any of your statistics look like. What I want from you is I want you to be top 10 in runs scored. Figure out a way to get on base, figure out a way to get over, figure out a way to get in. I think if that was the only metric that you measured him by, because he's just going to be one of the guys in your lineup that you're just going to want to figure out how to get on base. He's not going to have to be the guy that you have to rely on to drive in all your runs, right? I do think he would figure out a way to be one of the best guys in the major leagues to score runs. I think that's the metric you look at him by. So that's the long answer, and you got to know on Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, if you bring up Drew Avans, it's not going to be a short conversation because I love this guy. I can talk about Drew Avans all night long. So great question, Jay. If there's a DL stint for one of the outfielders on the 26th, do we see Drew Avans? I definitely think you do. Jose Ramos would be another candidate, but he is not on the 40-man just like Avans isn't. Andy Pages is injured right now. I think another guy that you could give consideration to would be this guy right here, another one of my most famous favorite players in the organization, Ol Wardo, right here. Okay, this is Ryan Ward. Ryan Ward struck out one time his senior year in high school. He is the only Bryant Bulldog to hit over 400 for an entire season. The next season after Ryan Ward hit over 400, I think he hit like 408, he hit 379. So the bat-to-ball skills, the batting average type deal, that has always been there for Ryan Ward. So he's always been an east-west type hitter. So when I say an east-west type hitter, what I mean is as you look at his barrel come through the zone, The barrel comes through the zone flat here, which means he can cover the inner half and the outer half. So what the Dodgers did was they tried to give him some north-south in his bat angle, which meant now he can cover that low pitch, especially that low and inside pitch. So watch his bat angle there. See how flat that bat angle was at the top? That is why right there, Ryan Ward has always been a guy that could hit for high averages. That flat, see how flat that barrel path was? But what he had to add whenever he became a professional was the more of a north-south bat path. And why do I say that? Okay, here's a good look at, see how he got to that low pitch right there? Let me show you how he got to that low pitch. This is what he had to add when he became a professional, and I'm going the long way right there. Okay, see how he kind of had to go around that ball to get it because he's a little bit too much east-west. He would have gotten to that a lot easier if he had had a more north-south bat angle, and therefore, instead of that being a ground ball, he probably would have got it in the air and been able to hit a home run with it. Now, there you go. That's the one I wanted to show you right there. This is the adjustment that Ryan Ward has made. He changed his bat angle to become more of a north-south type bat angle type hitter to get the ball in the air. And obviously the trade-off is going to be you're going to have more power, of which Ryan Ward has consistently been at the top of the organization in home runs. Matter of fact, before he got hurt in 2022, he was hitting .276, and he had 25 home runs, which at that time led the entire organization in home runs. So there was a time in 2022 where Ryan Ward led the entire organization in home runs and also was hitting .276. Then he got hurt and he never recovered. So Ryan Ward is a young hitter in the Dodgers organization that has the ability to hit for, I would say, 250, 260, 265, somewhere in there. And also hit, see how, let me show you that right there. That is the north-south that I'm talking about that he added right there. See how that's north right there? And because he's not pulling his hands like this, like an east-west hitter, a flat hitter would do. He's pulling his hands down. So now he's north, there he's south. If I can back that up, he goes straight from north to south, and you can see how he got through that ball from a north-south direction. That's why that's a home run. The ball's in the air. I say that all to say it's an adjustment. So he strikes out more than he did in the past. His batting average, like I always say, don't look at statistics with minor leaguers because they're making these types of adjustments all the time. And, man, when you're trying to do that against AAA guys and AA guys, it doesn't always look good. There's big old David Freitas. I love that guy. It doesn't always look good coming out of the stat sheet. And I think Ryan Ward has gotten caught up. There's Chris Gutierrez right there, young man out of Oklahoma. Actually played at Oklahoma State, third base coach for the Oklahoma City Dodgers. I loved watching Chris Gutierrez play, a great college baseball player. It doesn't always look good in the stat sheet, so don't look at the stats. There's another flat swing from Ryan Ward. So, hey, I think Ryan Ward is another guy that could get brought up as well. Again, he's another guy that if he gets brought up, just get comfortable because I can talk about Ryan Ward all day and all night. Matter of fact, Ryan Ward's routine, he wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He goes and works out. Then he comes home from his workout. He goes and works 8 hours a day. Then after he gets off of work, he goes and does all of his baseball stuff. This is one of the hardest workers, one of the most disciplined young men in the entire organization, Ryan Ward. So, hey, I'm going to bring it back to me at this point, and I'm going to read some comments. And whoever you want to see, I'm by myself, so I would rather show video of the players than me. So whoever you want to see, let me know. I've got video of just about everybody. Okay, so let's get back to some more comments here. Mike says, no on reclamation projects. We are the same there. Hey, Denard, good evening, Denard. Thank you so much for joining from the great state of Texas, where everything is bigger and better. I doubt the Dodgers would make a major trade 2 weeks before spring training. They'll ride with the current roster, reevaluate at the trade deadline. Yeah, the trade deadline's expensive because you have so much competition. I've said this many times. I think that was a good philosophy until they changed the wild card. I don't think waiting till the trade deadline is a good philosophy anymore because so many teams are going to be in the hunt that the price for these prospects, they're cheaper in the offseason because not everybody knows exactly what they need. The price is going to go up. It's not going to go down because there's going to be so many teams. There's my Dodgers dogs in the background right there, so I apologize for that. But my wife is not in a position that she can take care of it right now, so we'll have to deal with a little bit of that. So, hey, I'm not a fan of waiting for the trade deadline. The Dodgers know what needs they have. If they think it's a need that you need to fill, go do it right now because it's cheaper right now than it will be then. Angelo, I think the Corbin Burns thing is perfect case scenario of that. Angelo, darn, Dodgers won't be here in Atlanta until the middle of September. Yep. Okay, Mike says Blake Trinan's interview was very encouraging. Yeah, let's show some video of Blake Trinan. Let's get some up of him. I had a lot of good video of him from Oklahoma City last year. So here's Blake Trinan, no doubt about it. He is a guy that I think is healthy. And I think because he is healthy, he is going to be not just on the 40-man. I think he is going to be on the 26. Hey, Chris Woolwine, thank you so much for joining tonight to Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Other than maybe someone to replace an injured starter, what is a realistic trade deadline plan? I don't know that there is one. I think the Dodgers are going to get what they need and then roll with it from there. I mean, I think at that point it would take, I think what you're saying, some type of injury. I think they're getting in the offseason what they feel like they need, and then at that point they're just going to roll with it and go. I don't think they have a plan right now saying, hey, let's wait till the trade deadline. I think they made that pivot rightfully so because the offseason is cheaper now. So I don't think there is a trade deadline plan. I think it would take something of like injuries that make a situation to where they go, oh, well, we have a need now because that we didn't have before because of injury. But I think they trust Caleb Ferguson for their high leverage outs in the later innings. I think just the volatility of relievers would suggest that when you look at the type of stuff that Caleb Ferguson has, he's going to be further away from injury. I know Dodgers fans are very impatient. They just look at Jesus Luzardo. Look at the way that he incorporated into the major leagues. Just look at his statistics in the first couple of years he was in the major leagues. And then that's just perfect. And as valuable as Jesus Luzardo seems, like Dodgers fans would love to have him at this point, right? Okay, 2019, as you looked at him incorporate it. Let's look at 2020 whenever he had his first he had 59 innings, he had a 4.12 ERA. Okay? So in his first 59 plus 95, so that is 154 innings. In his first 154 innings, he had given up 97 earned runs. Jesus Luzardo. 97 earned runs in his first 154 innings. He had an ERA of 2020 in his first not even first full season, his first season in the major leagues that actually had enough. You're looking at Blake Trinan. It had enough innings to matter. 4.12 ERA. 2021, his first full season as a major leaguer, 6.61. So we forget as Dodgers fans, we look at guys like a Gavin Stone or a Caleb Ferguson, and they come out and they're not just perfect when we first see them. They go, let's get rid of them. They're not. You forget guys like Jesus Luzardo, who the Dodgers fans would kill to have right now. It took him 2 to 3 years to adjust to become what we now know as Jesus Luzardo. That could easily happen to Gavin Stone. That happened to Ryan Pepio. We saw with him. That could easily happen back with Caleb Ferguson as he comes back from injury. So the guy has the stuff. Caleb Ferguson has good stuff. He has the velo. I have mentioned several times that I would be good with the Dodgers going, and matter of fact, let me pull this up, going and getting a Tanner Scott because of what he did last year. But just looking at Caleb Ferguson, okay, here's just kind of what I'm talking about. Let's look at his fastball here. Okay, the four-seam fastball was 95.8. That's good. Okay, that's on average. That's what he averaged, 95. Matter of fact, let's get Caleb Ferguson up here. Now, I'm not trying to make the case that Caleb Ferguson is the guy. Well, I'm making the case that he could be the guy. I'm making the case for why the Dodgers are going to give him the chance to be that guy. There's a 96 right there. Look at that slider right there. That is a slider that could get lefties out. And again, I'm going to tell you again, either coming off of injury or trying to incorporate into the major leagues to begin with, it takes time. I think last year he was rushed into some situations maybe he wasn't ready for, and maybe he panicked a little bit. I think especially that rain game, he had a couple of moments that weren't perfect for him, and because of that, Dodgers fans have become impatient with him. Having said that, why not give this guy a chance to get high leverage outs as your lefty? He averages 96 miles an hour. He has the exact type of profile that you would be going and getting. You already have him in-house, and so I think that's kind of where the Dodgers are headed with that. And unless he gets injured or doesn't perform, I think that's what they're going to stick with at that point. Okay, so let's continue going. Hey, Brett Rose, thank you so much for joining. Who do you see taking the innings that becomes available with Frosso's innings in Double-A? So let's look at Oklahoma City's roster. Your starting rotation is likely going to be Gavin Stone. Let's get some video up on Gavin Stone so you can look. We might as well be looking at these guys pitch as we talk about the starting rotation for Oklahoma City. Gavin Stone right here. Okay, here he is. Gavin Stone, then let me flip this over. So your starting rotation in Oklahoma City is going to be Michael Grove, Gavin Stone. All right, let me go through this. Michael Grove, Gavin Stone, Nabil Chris Matt probably is going to be one of your starters. And then another, you take your pick, whichever rookie you want. I think to start with that Kyle Hurt and Emmett Sheehan will both be on the 46-man roster. And then River Ryan, so Gavin Stone, Michael Grove, Nabil Chris Matt, River Ryan, Kendall Williams. I think those are your 5 starters to start out with in Oklahoma City. And they will get, and then also I think the Dodgers, like they always do, will likely go out and get another veteran. You're looking at Gavin Stone here, who added that cutter. That was really a game changer for him. So, Mr. Ila Shiva, will the Dodgers have a defined closer? I don't think so. I think so here's the deal, Ila Shiva. Guys don't throw 3 days in a row anyways, okay? So every third day you're having to get that third out with somebody other than your defined closer anyways. I think between Joe Kelly, Evan Phillips, Brusdar Graterol, Kyle Hurt, Caleb Ferguson, I think there's several guys that the Dodgers feel comfortable getting the last 3 outs of the game. And I also think that they like using their high leverage guys in maybe the biggest, most advantageous matchup ways too. So I'm guessing that they won't have a quote unquote defined closer. If they did, that guy, like Angelo's saying, would be Evan Phillips, but I don't think they're going to go out and do that at this point. I don't think they're going to go get an Emmanuel Clase. They've talked about bringing Kenley Jansen back. I would be totally against that. The opportunity cost of taking innings away from Emmett Sheehan and Kyle Hurt is not worth it, in my opinion. Let's bring up Emmett Sheehan and take a look at him. The opportunity cost of taking innings away from Emmett Sheehan with as explosive as his fastball is, and Kyle Hurt, as good as we know and explosive as his stuff is, the opportunity cost of getting Kenley Jansen is not worth taking innings away from those guys. So I would not be for going and getting a Kenley Jansen, so I don't think they're going to do it. And I don't think that they want to go and give the prospect capital that it would take to get an Emmanuel Clase. I think they've shown that they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to go get all these guys and fill these spots, but they also want to keep their prospects. So I don't think you're going to go get a closer. But that's just, I don't have any inside information on that. I just know how the Dodgers tend to do business, and it would be out of their comfort zone to give up a bunch of prospects, and especially for a reliever. The Dodgers, that is the one place in baseball that you can go 5 and dime shopping and hit a home run. We've seen it time and time again, so I just don't see it. Hey, Chuck Huddleston, thank you so much for joining Dodgers Dogs every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 o'clock Pacific. Doc's comments about Gavin Stone at FanFest yesterday was encouraging. Yes, Gavin Stone, again, going to say it again, Jesus Luzardo, it took him almost 3 years, over 2 years to fully incorporate into the major leagues as a successful pitcher. It takes time. It's harder than it looks. Dodgers fans are way too impatient with their young guys. Gavin Stone made some tremendous adjustments. He added the cutter. His last performance of last year in the PCL playoffs was simply fantastic. Gavin Stone, when he added that cutter, a strike pitch that wasn't going to get ambushed, that was a game changer for him. So you definitely heard that first here on Dodgers Daily as far as all the adjustments he made, and that the Dodgers were not going to give up on Gavin Stone. So I love the fact that you brought that up. Hey, and we have a super chat from Jay, $4.99. Thank you so much for Jay for joining. Always such a wonderful, has always such a wonderful comment. So I agree with you, Chuck, that the comments about Gavin Stone, although they were not surprising if you follow Dodgers Daily, they were very, very, very encouraging. And again, thank you so much, Jay, for your super chat. I can't tell you how much I appreciate everything that you do here on Dodgers Daily. Aaron Vaughn, thank you so much for joining. Aaron, what's up, fella Angelinos? I hope everyone is staying safe and dry from our insane rain we're having right now. And I know our moderator Mike loves that. He is the one out of all of us Dodgers Daily guys that does real work as a fireman. Hey, Denard, what player were you most impressed with at Dodgers Fest? I would say as far as the guys who talked the most, I liked Freddie Freeman's. I liked his. You're looking at Emmett Sheehan right here. I'm going to send it back to me until we get some comments and suggestions on who you might want to see. I like Freddie Freeman's talk on his walk-up songs. I enjoyed that very much. But as far as the interviews at FanFest, they don't do a whole lot for me. I mean, it's just kind of, it's real on the surface. It's real, just kind of canned responses. You don't get a whole lot out of them. It's more so just, hey, we get to see the guys together in one spot, and that's super exciting. But as far as the interviews go, there's not a whole lot of actual content to those. I mean, you're going to get the canned responses from them. So as far as who I was impressed with, the players, as far as the interviews go, it was more, I look at those interviews less as informational and more as just kind of entertainment. So I thought the Freddie Freeman, I thought the Mookie Betts interview where he said that, we need to embrace being the bad guy. I thought that was pretty funny too. I thought that was very entertaining as well. Okay, so let's continue on with our comments here. What 3 non-Froster 40-man kids of the Dodgers not trade under any circumstances? There is no such thing as not under any circumstances. If the right guys are offered back, the Dodgers would trade. I mean, you're talking the prospects for a reason, and especially when they're down at the single A level or the DSL level, there is no such thing as untouchables. I know people use that term and they say, "Well, you wouldn't." But if a major league club's going to give you an Emmanuel Clase or a Corbin Burns and a Willie Adames, you're going to trade some guys if it makes sense for you, because if they help you win a World Series, doesn't matter who you give away, it worked. It's worth it. And if you think that those guys are going to win a World Series for you, there is no prospect that is worth keeping if you think that you can give them up to win a World Series. There is none. Prospects are like money. You're always going to have more prospects. I've talked to Manny Pimentel, the scouting director in the DR. He's always going to find great players coming out of the Dominican Republic. Just go watch my interview with Tom Kunis. Now tell me that guy's not going to continue to find great players for the Dodgers. So what you have to do, none of it matters if you don't win at the top. Nothing matters in the Dodgers system if you don't win a World Series, if you're the Dodgers. So there is no prospect that you wouldn't give up if you felt like you were getting a return that was going to help you win a World Series. Now, so when I say that only to say who are the most untouchables, I would say right now that are non-rostered would be Dalton Rushing. I think he would be number one just because he has he has just such great potential. I think number 2 would be Ronan Kopp, and I think number 3 would probably be Peyton Martin. Those would be your 3 guys that you would just go, you know what? I ain't giving those guys up unless I know I'm getting somebody back that's going to help us win a World Series, because those dudes are good. Those would be my 3 guys. Hey, Denard, I've said since day one, Kyle Hurt deserves a chance to close. At the major league level, Kyle has impressive strikeout rates throughout the minors. I'm glad you said that, Denard. Last year's strikeout rates, they weren't just 1 year. As a matter of fact, let me pull this up, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Kyle Hurt's strikeout rates, and I'm glad you brought it up in that fashion. Give me just a second here, because this has been throughout Kyle's entire career that he's posted strikeout rates the way that he has. Let me kind of show you what I'm talking about. Okay, strikeouts per 9. 2021, 1543 strikeouts per 9. 2022, 14.16. 2023, 15.23. And by the way, that's in a starting role. Now, can you imagine if you put him with the last 3 outs of a game, with that amount of adrenaline going through his body, and you say, Kyle, we don't need you to go 5 or 6 innings. We don't need you to conserve. We want you to go out and max everything that you have out. You're already talking about a guy that in a conserve mode of a starting pitcher is already striking out 15 per 9. Maxing out even further from that, those strikeout rates, I mean, you would, just using common sense, you would think will increase even from that. That's exactly what you're looking for in a closer. So let him have at it. Let him go do it. Give him the runway to get comfortable. Again, I'm going to say it again, as great as Kyle Hurt is, as great as Jesus Luzardo was, it takes time. There are going to be periods of failure that Dodgers fans don't like. You got to let these kids work through those periods. If Jesus Luzardo, if you had evaluated him after his first full year of Major League Baseball, you would have thought that he wasn't very good. If you would have evaluated Jesus Luzardo after his second full year of Major League Baseball, you would have thought he sucked. Point blank. You would have thought Jesus Luzardo sucked after his second full year of Major League Baseball. So it takes time. And we're talking about a Gavin Stone and a Michael Busch who haven't had any time. So if you use Kyle Hurt, you got to understand there is an incorporation period. Now, it's a lot of times when you're as talented as Kyle and you have the swing and miss type of stuff that he has, that incorporation period can be a smaller window, and we all hope for that. But I just warn Dodgers fans, whichever young player you use, whichever rookie you use, you got to know that it takes time. You got to allow them to fail, work through it. I'm going to say it again. Watch the interview I'm going to release with James Outman tomorrow. When he was struggling, he was so thankful that the Dodgers allowed him the runway that he needed to get through it. If you would have just let's say James Outman started the season like he did in like he had in June, and you just would have evaluated only that time period he had in June, you would have thought James Outman was terrible. But because he was given the proper amount of runway, the 6-month runway, he was able to show everything he had. So totally agree with that. I hope the Dodgers give Kyle Hurt a role like that. Super excited about all of those opportunities. Hey, Austin, good evening. Austin, thank you so much for hopping on. I know Austin is super busy on Sundays. I take Austin anytime I can get him because he is an absolute rock star. Hope everybody's having a great Sunday evening. Baseball is almost here. No doubt about it. Yeah, Mike says that he has a feeling spring training is going to be a wet one. I hope not. Hey, Tomatley, wonder how Frasso injury compares to Trinan's. Frasso had a very slight, matter of fact, the information I had on it, of which I couldn't go public with, I did mention last Sunday's show that he had that he did have shoulder surgery. It was a slight tear. It was a situation to where most of the organization thought that, or I don't want to say that, where there were people that thought that maybe he could pitch his way through it because it was a slight deal. Hey, just take care of it a little bit, that kind of deal. He decided to have surgery. So all the information I had was there was a chance he could have been ready for the start of the season. Those plans changed. I'm not worried whatsoever about Nick Frasso coming back from this labrum tear. It's such a minor tear. I'm not worried about it at all. I hate it that it's going to delay his start to a season to where he was going to likely ETA in the major leagues. From that perspective, it's very disappointing. From that perspective, it is a huge setback for him, but it's not something I'm worried about him not recovering from. I think he'll be just fine as far as that goes. Hey, here's a good point, and I always overlook this guy because I haven't seen him pitch. Looks like Fire Eisen is ready to pitch. There's another guy right there that is going to incorporate into the mix. Hey, great point, Shiva. Glad you brought that name up because, again, I very rarely ever bring up JP Fire Eisen. And begin, I think if you watch Dodgers Daily much, I just don't talk about guys I haven't seen with my own eyes pitch a whole lot because I just don't want to give an evaluation based on stats and numbers and a whole bunch of things I'm reading on a piece of paper. So I'm super glad you brought that name up, Shiva, JP Fire Eisen. There's a couple reasons why the Dodgers kept him around. Like they will see you say, well, why did they trade Yency Almonte instead of JP Fire Eisen? Well, here's the reason. For one, obviously, they think JP Fire Eisen's a good pitcher, right? They think he can help him. They think that he can help them on the major league level win a World Series. And two, he has options. So the Dodgers can use the up-down train with him and Alex Vesia. That's why Vesia and Fire Eisen were kept and Yency Almonte wasn't, because they both have options, so they don't have to always be on the 26-man roster for the Dodgers. Fire Eisen creates flexibility in the 26-man roster for the Dodgers. So does Alex Vesia. So Fire Eisen's a guy that I expect to be on that OKC train all year long, up and down, and he's going to have to take advantage of his opportunities the same way the rookies are. So I'm super glad that you brought that name up, Shiva, and it does look like from a health perspective, Fire Eisen is ready to go. Hey, Harley, how you doing this evening? Harley Anderson, hello back to yourself. Thank you so much for joining. Denard said it's great. The Dodgers had a great offseason. Who do you think will be the leader, and will they play as a team with so many stars? I don't think there's any doubt about it. The leader of this team is Shohei Ohtani. He made that real clear when he came to the Dodgers and deferred all the money. I am here to win a World Series. Period, end of discussion. I'm coming here so you can build a roster around me that will win the World Series. And, hey, the language that baseball players speak, right, is made out of money. So when you put your money where your mouth is, that's leadership. That's what Shohei Ohtani did. Also, he leads by example in the way that he works out. And also, he's going to lead on the field with how great he is. This, in my opinion, unequivocally, 100%, completely, totally, and entirely is Shohei Ohtani's team. This, in my opinion, is 100%, completely, entirely, and totally Shohei Ohtani's era of Dodgers baseball. He is that guy, in my opinion. Okay, Nando says I pass on Adames and go all in for Luzardo and Scott. I can't disagree with that at all. Willie Adames, in my opinion, is a guy that has too much swing and miss, not enough offense. The Dodgers, I think, it's a better fit to try to give Gavin Lux that chance at shortstop. I totally agree with you there. Mike says Michael Grove did really well when he came back. Yes, and especially in a reliever role. Evil Shiva said Drew Avans was great in 2023 spring training. Drew Avans has been great at every step along the way. I love that guy entering his fourth year in AAA. I hope he gets his chance. Hey, Norm Lee, thank you so much for joining Norm every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. 6 o'clock Pacific. Right field is definitely a position that needs an upgrade. Hayward Margot won't hold up full time. I think I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you there. I'm going to push back a little bit. And the reason why I say that, Norm, I think if you take Jason Hayward by himself, I would agree with you. I think if you take Manny Margot by himself, I would agree with you. But I think when you combine the two in a platoon and you only play them in matchups that are advantageous, and then on a particular night, if neither one of them have a matchup that's advantageous, then you put in Chris Taylor. So literally, Manny Margot and Chris and Jason Hayward are only going to have to play on nights to where they have favorable matchups for them. And then if they both have favorable matchups and James Outman doesn't, then James Outman can sit that night. I think because of that factor right there, Norm, plus if you look at Manny Margot's splits away from Tropicana, they actually were good. So I think from those perspectives, I think that right field platoon is going to be a 3 WAR type position, maybe a 3.5 WAR. I think it's going to be above league average. Whenever you look at the production that the Dodgers get out of right field, you compare it to the production of the other teams in the league from their right fielders, I think that platoon of Hayward and Margot is going to be above league average. I really think that. And that comes from a guy, if you watch Dodgers Daily, I was not happy that the Dodgers got Manny Margot and gave up Johnny DeLuca. I wasn't happy about that. But having said that, that's my opinion on that platoon and the possibilities for it. Hey, Roy Estrada, good evening, Dodgers fam. Good evening back to yourself. Roy, my chat just refreshed again, and I'm going to have to get back up to where I was just a minute ago. I apologize for that. Okay, and I need to look at my phone, make sure I'm a little bit behind the chat, so make sure I haven't missed anything here. I will open up my text message. Hey, Mike, if I missed anything, go ahead and text message me. I got my text messages open right here. I'm by myself, and I'm trying to keep up with the chat, so let me get back. I hate it whenever it refreshes like that, and I have to get back up to where I was at. Okay, right here. All right, Harley, the young guys just need to show their stuff because there are other major league teams scouting. Also for trades, yes, there are a lot of cross-checkers all over the major leagues, no doubt about that. Austin is in the house. If you have a question for Austin, just leave one for him. Hey, Ela Shiva says Ryan Ward was a total stud in spring training last year. I love Ryan Ward. I can go on all night about old Wardo. One of my favorite players. I have a couple of interviews with him. Wrote an article about him. Show us Young Suk Yang. I'm not sure that I have video on him. Let me see if I actually got some I don't. Let me do this then. Okay, give me just a second here. I don't have video on him. I'll get that for the next. I'll get that for the next video. I apologize for that. As soon as I said, just tell me who you want to see. The first guy that I read, I actually don't have video on. I will have video on Yang by the next video, so sorry about that. Hey, guys, just joined from Ball Cap. That's Justin Lamas. Thank you so much for joining. Justin, free agency is just a drag. Is Boris being unreasonable? Boris 4 still unsigned. Well, yeah, Boris absolutely has been unreasonable. That's his job, is to be unreasonable. No doubt about that. So, again, sorry, Justin, I don't have video on Yang. I will have that for the next video. Ela Shiva, what do you expect from Fireisen? I haven't seen him pitch yet. I don't know, Ela Shiva. I haven't seen him pitch a whole lot yet either. So I don't have any information on it. When Austin joins, Austin would probably know more about that than I would. We'll address that on Wednesday. Come back to our Wednesday show, Ela Shiva. We'll address that then. I could tell you a whole bunch of numbers and all that kind of stuff, but I couldn't really give you an evaluation. So let's wait till Wednesday to get that evaluation going. Okay, Craig says, let's see Kendall George. Let's get Kendall George up on the board here. Let's get a good look at him. Here is Kendall George right there with his tools. I don't have any video from him at Rancho, and the reason is they don't have a home live video feed, and so I wasn't able to get any video of him while he was at Rancho. So you're going to see some good video of him just working out and doing some different things. But this is Kendall George right here, young man who was the first draft pick for the Dodgers. Last draft class, he played for Team USA. Also, he wasn't even scheduled to make it up to Rancho, but because he was so good at the complex, they actually brought him up, and Kendall George did a great job for Rancho. Philip Gomez, thank you so much for joining, Philip. Every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, Brewers were fleeced in that Burns trade. Oh, my God, I totally agree with you on that. Hey, Mike, our moderator, is reminding you to join our new Discord. Great way to talk Dodgers baseball, no doubt about that. And Denard is also saying Corbin Burns is a head-scratcher. He was given away for cheap. I totally agree with you guys. No doubt about that. It just seems like the Dodgers could have given them Michael Busch and somebody else to make that trade happen. Kind of disappointing as a Dodgers fan that you didn't make that happen. but you did get Tyler Glass now, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, you got Walker Buehler, so you got and James Paxton. So, you got a big haul in the offseason. So the Dodgers, and as Jay said, probably the timing was a little bit different. The Dodgers didn't want to wait and lose out on Tyler Glass now. So I think there were just some timing issues to that. You're looking at Kendall George here. Mike Boyer, do the Dodgers need more pitchers? I'm hoping they pick up a few relief pitchers. I don't, because I think they're young guys. Emmett Sheehan, Kyle Hurt can be relief guys. I think Blake Trinan's going to come back. I think Caleb Ferguson's going to have a good year. JP Fireeisen can help. I think the Dodgers have enough right now. I think if they do go get a relief guy, I think it needs to be a left-handed reliever that can specialize in getting high leverage lefties out in high leverage situations like in the playoffs. And you got to go out and you got to get Bryce Harper out. Who's going to be that guy? Is that guy on roster right now? Can it become Caleb Ferguson? If that's not Caleb Ferguson, then you got to go get a guy that can get specifically Bryce Harper out or any left-hander out in a high-leverage situation. That's the one situation, in my opinion, the Dodgers would need to add relief pitching. Hey, Justin, Corbin Burns was 1 year away from free agency. That took away Milwaukee's leverage. Yep, those guys that are on their last year, you do lose leverage. Hey, Showtime, very good point on Luzardo, Casey. Yeah, I'm just telling you, man, it takes a while to incorporate. It takes them all time. That's why when people tell me, hey, Michael Busch was a flop, that's just I just smile. It's like, okay. And you're looking at Kendall George here again. And hey, Roy, Dodgers fans, keep in mind teams will be reluctant to trade with Dodgers because they don't want to see us win. We always trade with teams we have a good relationship with, like Boston and Tampa. That's a good point, Roy. I think there is some to that the evil empire, you don't want to just make it even more evil, right? Okay, and I'm going to bring it back to me. If there is somebody that you would like to see here in the chat, some video on, just let me know. Yeah, Young Suck, Yang. Hey, Mike, if you don't mind, would you put that article up that you wrote about Young Suck Yang and put that up there so they can see that? I don't have video on Yang, but they can at least read that article. Yeah, and Mike is answering that right now. Roy says Milwaukee was never dealing Burns to the Dodgers. That's what Roy's saying, is that they would not have given that kind of deal to the Dodgers because of what the Dodgers have done in the offseason, becoming the evil empire. Justin, if they're going to give up prospects, it would be for an everyday player, not a reliever. I would agree with that. A total 100%. And it would be a situation to where Tio Hernandez isn't doing what you want. You have a couple of injuries. Like we had a comment earlier, your right field platoon with Margot and Hayward's not producing. At that point, I think that's where you would see maybe the Dodgers go get somebody out of a trade. Justin says the problem with Gavin Stone is he's already 25. Dude is older than Juan Soto. Totally agree. You're going to get me on a soapbox there, Justin. When you let your prospects become 25 and they have no major league experience, it just takes away their value. Especially if you're only going to incorporate them on a part-time basis like the Dodgers are going to do with these guys. But I beat that into the ground. I don't want to get off on that soapbox tonight. I've talked about that probably too much already, how it is. Hey, we have a wonderful crowd. I want to thank everybody for joining tonight. John Kazi, again, every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. Reminder, if you have not done it, hit that like button, leave a comment, tell all your friends about Dodgers Daily, Dodgers Dogs every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you haven't done it, hit that subscribe button. I think we should go with the guys we have. Let the young guys get their chance. I totally agree, John. Hey, Dodgers have young prospects, said Denard, knocking on the door to start. If there's no room, no rotation, that's what I'm saying. Emmett Sheehan, Kyle Hurt, they then, Gavin Stone, Michael Grove, they then become your relief pitchers. I totally agree with that, 100%. Maybe one of them stands out and becomes a closer. That guy, in my opinion, would be Kyle Hurt because of the massive amount of swing and miss he has. Emmett Sheehan also has swing and miss too, but I just think Kyle Hurt would come in and just throwing bullets and go right through other teams. 13 pitches later, you're having a beer in the clubhouse. Not anymore. Used to, but you know what I'm saying. You're having a good time because the game's over and you already won. Ela Shiba. Recently, I've seen comments suggesting getting rid of Rojas. I think Rojas is uber valuable. No, you can't get rid of Rojas. I just don't see. Hey, Showtime, thank you so much for the super chat. You can't get rid of Rojas, and here's why. Because he is your insurance for Gavin Lux. And again, I'm going to release the James Outman interview tomorrow at 6 o'clock Pacific. Just listen to James talk about Rojas and the impact he had on him defensively, reading swings, learning how to anticipate where the ball's going. So Rojas is your insurance for Gavin Lux. And I don't necessarily mean if Gavin needs to move to second base full time. I mean like maybe for a day or two. Like let's say maybe Gavin's struggling a touch or whatever, and he just needs a day off or whatever mentally. Rojas can go to shortstop. Gavin can move to second or take a day off or whatever, relax a little bit, get back in the zone. That's what Rojas is going to do for his team. He is way more valuable, in my opinion, than Dodgers fans are giving him credit for because, again, I think those are the type of people that are looking at the analytics of it. They're looking at the sheer numbers of it, the statistics of it. They're going, well, he's not a good player because he didn't hit this. They don't understand all of the human elements as to what Miguel Rojas brings to this club and why they are valuable and how valuable they are to this club. I totally agree with you about Miguel Rojas because you're breaking in Gavin Lux to the shortstop position, and nobody's seen Lux ever play shortstop at the major league level. You can't guarantee how he is going to react to it. So you have to have Rojas. You can't make Chris Taylor your everyday shortstop, which is what would happen if something happened to Rojas, if you got rid of Rojas at that point. And you don't have Willy Adames yet, and you don't want to go get him at this point. So I totally agree with that. Harley says, don't trade a bunch. And again, Showtime, thank you so much for that wonderful super chat. Can't tell you how much I appreciate you. Showtime LA, also a part of our Discord server team as well. If you haven't signed up for that, the link is in the chat. Go sign up for our Discord, and hey, we can talk directly anytime you want. Harley says, don't trade a bunch of good prospects just to get maybe a reliever. Totally agree with that. Hey, DS Catch 22, hard to give up young studs. Time to get Luzardo status and win now. I have no problem if you're going and adding a lefty. And, hey, trades are win-win situations because if you trade guys then like a Ryan Pepio, as much as I hated to see him go, as much as I hated to see Johnny DeLuca go, I'm super pumped for those two. And I know they are both very excited, not because they're not a Dodger anymore, but because they're going to have a much better path at Major League playing time. So to me, trades are win, win, win. Mike says Blake Trinan's interview is his favorite honest answer on focusing on the high-level players in the Dodgers, not just Ohtani. Yeah, Ila Shiva. Matter of fact, I don't know. I love Ohtani as much as the next guy, but just when you're asking questions to one of the Dodgers, ask questions about them. I mean, if you want to ask a question about teammates, fine, but don't make the entire interview about some guys. If you want to talk about a guy, then go interview him. Just that irks me, but that's just me, and I'm probably wrong on that. Okay, hey, Showtime. Ugh, forgot to type a message in Super Chat. Could Gavin Stone have a sub-3 RA in Oklahoma City? And I think he could have a Bobby Miller-type impact if given proper runway. PCL is a tough league to pitch in. Sub-3 ERA would be tough. He could do it. Is he going to have a Bobby Miller impact with the Dodgers? Not to be argumentative, but no way. And not because he's not capable, but because he's not going to be given that opportunity. Nothing Gavin Stone could do this year to be given the same opportunities Bobby Miller is going to get. There's nothing Gavin Stone could do to get those opportunities is what I'm saying. So from that perspective, Bobby Miller is going to be getting the ball every 5 or 6 days, period, for this entire season. No matter what Gavin Stone does, he is never going to be in a position to where he is getting the ball every 5 or 6 days for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So, yes, could he have a sub-3 RA for Oklahoma City? Definitely. But would that translate into him getting the same role as Bobby Miller? I don't see any way that would happen. Hey, thank you so much for that wonderful comment, Showtime, and thank you so much for your super chat to Motley. I came away very encouraged with Trinan regaining his velocity after his interview. Sounds like he's pain-free and beyond the injury, just focusing on getting the rust off. No doubt spring training will be huge for him. Hey, Justin Lamas, Corbin Burns had a 9 ERA in his second year. There you go, guys. It takes time. Dodgers fans want Gavin Stone to be perfect when he first steps on the mound. They wanted Ryan Pepio to be perfect. They wanted Michael Grove to be perfect. They wanted Emmett Sheehan to be perfect. They wanted Michael Busch to be perfect in his spotty playing time. There's another one. Corbin Burns, 9 ERA in his second year. Hardy says you have to trust your scouting system to give you the thumbs up about your guys. That's what I'm talking about. Then go ahead and trade. Yep, no doubt. Normally, the Dodgers moved Pedro, Sid, Fernandez, and Konerko way too early, and it came back to haunt them. There's a lot of guys the Dodgers, okay, so Luke Raley, obviously, but then you have guys like Nick Nastrini. You have guys like Jordan Leisure. There's a lot of guys out there. I'd have to compile the list of guys that I think will make their Major League debuts this year that the Dodgers have traded away. So I think it's going to be really fun. I'm actually going to do an article, maybe a hot take on all the guys about halfway through the year that the Dodgers traded away that are with other clubs at this point. So there's a lot of guys that the Dodgers could have had that they don't, but the Dodgers almost always make the right decision in trade situations because their scouting is so good and they know who the best players are. Mr. Seabad, play some Dalton rushing videos. Let's get to it right here. Ye ask and ye shall receive. Let's get some Dalton rushing going here. All right. Here is his, well, let me back that up. Let me back that up right there. That is his first home run. Let me actually rewind that. This is his first home run of 2023. This is Dalton rushing right here. Fans can head into dreamland with images of Dalton's tape measure home runs. He hit that right field scoreboard so many times. Thank you for that, Mr. Seabad. Samuel Ellis, Fire Eisen, another great Brewer reliever. Brewers are a reliever factory, man. They sure are. Them and the Marlins. Here's a 2-home run day for Dalton rushing. The Marlins are awesome, man. They have a bunch of pitching, period. Roy says Samuel Ellis, he came from the Rays. Craig, this is from Craig. Well, my chat just refreshed again, so let me get back here. Craig says Boris clients will have to take a discount. We'll see. Yeah, he always asks for a whole bunch. Hey, Danny Sandoval, thank you so much. Do you see Diego Cartaya or Rushing getting playing time this season? Neither one of them will. The guy that would get playing time, if it's not Will Smith or Austin Barnes, Danny, would be Hunter Fiducia. We've talked about Hunter Fiducia many different times on this show. You're looking at Dalton Rushing here. So I think Diego Cartaya, his ETA would be 2025, and I think both him and Rushing both would be ETA 2025s. I think, again, that guy would be Hunter Fiducia this year. Brett Rose, Brusdar Graterol had a great 23 season, but he needs to improve strikeout rate. Does he need to add another pitch to complement his fastball? Well, he has that cutter, and the thing about Brusdar Graterol, the reason why he doesn't have strikeout, it's not fixable. He does throw hard, Danny, but he does not have good extension. Again, you're looking at Dalton Rushing here, which means he's further away from home plate than a lot of other guys throw the ball. So even though he's throwing 98, his ball is decelerating more as it crosses the plate for hitters than other guys because it's had to travel a further distance, and that's why he doesn't get as much swing and miss. But that cutter is a good pitch for him because it stays off of barrels. So that's a good point on him, but that's why he doesn't get swing and miss as much as he should, and I don't think that's fixable. Hey, Boyd Mania, Gavin Lux is going to rock. I hope he is. I agree with you. I'm big on Gavin Lux, and we'll see what he does. Denard says they're a free agent. You think the Dodgers should have signed that would have made an impact? I don't think so. I think they signed every free agent they possibly could have. I think there's some trade candidates like Luzardo or maybe a Corbin Burns they could have went after, but not a free agent. Mr. Seabat, Austin Barnes is driving the equipment truck to Phoenix. You have to prove the Dodgers still need him. Ela Shiva, I want Outman in center field every day, not platoon. He will not platoon Ela Shiva. I didn't mean to give off that impression. James Outman will not be a platoon guy. What I'm talking about is every fourth or fifth day, if there's a particularly real bad matchup for James Outman, I think Margot could slip over to center every now and then if it's just really advantageous. But he is not going to be a platoon. I apologize if I gave up any kind of impression like that. Danny Sandoval said, who are some of the best defensive infielders in the minors? Well, right now, I think you probably have to say defensively, at shortstop, I think you probably have to go with either Wilman Diaz or an Alex Freeland. I think at third base, Cody Hosey is your best defensive third baseman. And again, you're looking at Dalton Rushing right here. Cody Hosey is your best defensive third baseman. I would say Diego Cartaya really improved defensively, but I think your best defensive catcher with a sub 1.8 pop time is probably Tyrone Lorenzo. As far as outfielders, I think from raw skill perspective, I think Jose Ramos is probably your most talented minor league outfielder. That dude can absolutely go get it. I think your best arm is either Ramos or Andy Pages. I think Pages probably has the best arm between those two. And so from a defensive perspective, those are the guys that I would probably go with. Hey, Tomatley, Casey, what do you think about Gauthier's chance of debuting this year? I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's more likely to start in Double-A than make an ETA 2025. He's not on the 40-man. Excelled at 2 levels last year. Position flex, can hit for power, contact, and final year before 40-man decision. Yes, and let's get some video up on Austin Gauthier. And the reason why Gauthier says final year before 40-man decision is because after this year, Austin Gauthier will be Rule 5 eligible. And if he is not on the 40-man when he becomes Rule 5 eligible after this year, the Dodgers will lose him for absolutely nothing. I do not think he will ETA this year. I think he'll spend most of his year in Oklahoma City, and I think he'll have a good year in the PCL. And as good as he is, I just don't think that just from a numbers perspective, there's room for him to ETA this year. Okay, Hardy, I can't remember his name, but the shortstop the Dodgers got from the Yankees, that is Trey Sweeney. That is Trey Sweeney. Let's get some video up on Trey Sweeney, Harley. Let's look at Sweeney. That is the Dodgers. That is the shortstop the Dodgers got from here is his offense right here. Got from the Yankees. This is Trey Sweeney right here, Harley. You ask and ye shall receive. Roy, yeah, that's Sweeney right there. Mr. Seabad, Brewers were not going to give Burns to another NL team. That's a good point. They gave him to an American League team. Elishiba, I think it's totally okay to have Sunday night show without another speaker. Just Dodgers Daily is fine. Yeah, well, I appreciate you saying that, Elishiba. I like it when Austin joins. I really like it. Because he is a rock star, but I appreciate you saying that. Elishiba, what do you predict will happen with Vesia? Alex Vesia right there. I think he's going to be on that up-down train with Fire Eisen as well. Pitching against Lou Gehrig back in the day. Yeah, Coach Holt, that's funny. I think Vesia and Fire Eisen, they were kept around because they have options, and they are both going to be going back and forth between Oklahoma City and the big club, L.A., because they do have options, and that flexibility is why they were kept around. Will the Dodgers give Luxy some runway? Yes. They have committed to Gavin Lux. Let's take a look at Gavin Lux here. The Dodgers, I've been telling you this all offseason, that the Dodgers are 100% committed to Gavin Lux. There is absolutely no doubt about that. Brandon Gomes came out and said that the other day, and if you've been following Dodgers Daily, that should not have come as a surprise to you, because the Dodgers, like I said, they want him to be the starting shortstop. They've seen how talented they are. Last year, hey, this is Schmooze to me. Thank you so much for joining every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. Last year, we showcased a number of excellent prospects to set up 2024 depth. That is 100% correct. DC Rojas is the leader in the infield. I agree. He has great leadership skills. Best shortstop in the minors that could be in Major League. Well, I don't know what they're talking about here. Okay, so Harley says, I am losing you, Casey. I'm not exactly sure why there, but did you ever get a chance to watch Yordan Alvarez play in the Dodgers minor? I have not. He was before my time. No, I have not. Is Fiducia better on offense or defense? He's kind of both. He's just kind of solid everywhere, just a solid arm, solid defender, good sweet swinging left-handed stroke. Let's get some Fiducia video up here. You just saw Gavin Lux. I'll let you be your own determination right here. Hunter Fiducia, just a decent arm, good left-handed stroke, just solid all the way around. He's just a solid player. Scott says Hosey needs to take a significant step forward this year. It's time, and everybody's timetable is different. I love Cody Hosey. He is a grinder. He had the oblique injury. He got hot for a couple periods, and even last year, and just had injury that stopped his year. Here's Hosey right here, and he's been in Double-A forever. Totally agree. It's getting to that point to where he's getting older, and it's either, hey, it may be coming to the end of the line here if he doesn't start taking those steps up, as Scott says. Big fan of Cody Hosey, best defensive infielder in the organization, hands down. He will start in Oklahoma City. Are there any comeback players in the minors? I think Diego Cartaya would definitely be a comeback guy. Hey, another guy, let me show you some video up here. A guy that actually led the Dodgers minor league organization, okay, in home runs per at bat in 2021. I got the wrong guy right here. This guy right here, Brandon Lewis, B-Lou. I like this guy. This guy, he's a local California boy, and he has a ton of power. He's had a couple of down years. I really hope he bounces back. This is Brandon Lewis. So, hey, look for that name. Look for Cody Hosey. Look for Diego Cartaya. I think those are your bounce-back names that you're looking to have bounce-back years. Denard, that's a great question. Did Oklahoma City finalize the name Mr. Seabad, change the name to the 89ers? Nope, they're going to be the Oklahoma City Baseball Club for this entire next season. Then they will reevaluate after this season. Showtime says, can't wait to see what the young guys can do in 2 weeks. I agree. Ela Shiva says, do you expect any impact from the newest changes to the pitch clock for 2024? The guys will get used to it. They've been doing it at AAA forever. The 18 seconds with the guy in second, it won't be a problem. It may be for some, and they'll complain about it, but hey, it is what it is. You have to adjust. I haven't seen it play an impact at the AAA level. I talked to Landon Knack. Matter of fact, if you go to my interview with Landon Knack, he mentions that pitch clock situation wasn't an issue with him. So it's like everything else. It'll be an adjustment. This is Brandon Lewis again that you're seeing here. Okay, Ela Shiva, last comment of the night. I assume an increasingly shorter pitch clock will result in more pitcher injuries. I don't think so at all. I think it keeps them fresh. I think it keeps everybody on their toes. And I think it's just a matter of pitch count and all that. I don't think it at all it'll increase to injuries whatsoever. I think people are saying that. I think they haven't seen it in play, how it keeps the pace of play working and all of that. So I don't see injuries being increased from that. So, hey, from that perspective, we had a great show tonight. It is 9:32. We had a great chat. I can't tell everybody how much I appreciate you for joining the chat tonight. Again, Austin's going to join us again on Wednesday. We have a new Discord server. Sign up on the link for that and go check out all of the good stuff we have there. So thank you again for everybody for joining our chat tonight. And until next time, which will be Wednesday night, 6 o'clock Pacific, I want to say thank you again for tuning in, and go Dodgers.